Hello and welcome to Tim's Bits and Pieces. I will be showing you model train tips and tricks, layout build, new items for the layout, repairs and servicing of locos and rolling stock, 3D prints as well as four-wheel drive repairs, DIY projects and much more. So grab a drink, a bite to eat, sit back and enjoy. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave your comments. Let's get on with it. Okay, so today we are making some switches and I'm using single pole, single throw switch. So when it's in the down position, it's on. When it's in the up position, it's off. And if you have a look, it actually says it on there for you. If you see, it says on this side and off on this side. And it's single pole, single throw, which means single pole, which means it has either one direction. It's either that way or that way. That's your single pole throw part of it. And your single pole is just your common and then your activated side. So when it's in this position, in the little lever is inside, there's a rocker. And as you move it down, which pushes the arm this way, which pushes the contacts, which joins the two together. So when it's in the opposite direction, it moves the rocker and therefore the two places aren't contacting. So single pole, which is this side of it, single throw is this side of it. And these are 6 amp, 125 volts AC. So these are quite fine for DC and you just get them online. I get mine on eBay. So, and I buy them like 10 or 20 at a time. So yeah, but that's just a brief idea of how they work and what's involved. So now I'll start soldering them up. Okay, so when I'm doing my soldering, I hold the switch this way and then what I do is I just turn it that way because then I know what I'm doing, and power's in this way and out that way. So the top's going to be my power to my track. Alright, so that's on the top here. So what I do is I rotate the switch and I sit it that way. Then I know power's this way and to the transformers this way. Alright. So I use my helping hands which help me to get it nearly right. See? Near enough. And you watch just a little bit of heat on the job and it'll be done. Now with these little switches, you don't want too much heat because heat is your enemy here, because there's only so much inside of it, and if you heat the terminals here too much, you'll pull the whole terminal out and then the switch doesn't work. So you really need to be careful of how much heat you're putting into these little switches. Alright, so we'll just check that it's soldered all right. Give it a bit of a tug test and that's fine. So checking this side of it and then checking this side of it as well to see that the solder's gone both sides of it. So that's all right, and that's ready to go to the track. So what we'll do now, we've already got this already soldered and ready to go. I've got to drill a hole in the track, and then what we'll do is we'll join this to this. So I've still got to strip this and just put a bit of solder on the bottom of it. This alright, so I'll get this ready for soldering, for wiring up to that ready. So it doesn't take long, a little bit of heat. Alright, there we go, simple as that. What we're doing today is we're getting some wires ready to solder onto the tracks for power to the sidings that I'm wiring up at present. So what we're going to do is, first off we do some bits and pieces, and I'm using this brown wire as a bus line or the negative line for all of the track. So I'll just top and tail all these so we can solder them and join them together. This will be a bit longer. Okay, so I've already tinned the first one, which will go onto the first track, and then we'll just go round and daisy chain, daisy chain, daisy chain. So these two are roughly the same length, as you can see. So very much for muchness in those, and then there's that one which is a bit longer, which goes to the furthest. Alright, so what we do, we just join the wires together. Just twist them together like that. And we'll put some solder on it. And I was always taught at school, when I went to school years ago, you always heat the job first before you put solder. That's the way we were taught here in Australia. So put some heat on the job to warm the job first, then you apply solder. And as you can see, if I hold it right, look at that, it just flows straight on. See, simple as that. And as I've said before, we call it soldering, not soldering, like a lot of Americans seem to think it is. So that's just a joke between me and a few others that we have at the moment. But yes, we call it soldering. Just a bit of an in-joke. So if you don't get it, that's fine. So just get the wires together, twist them together like that. Now just remember, like we do with all our train sets, nothing has to be absolute perfect. Alright, because we don't live in a perfect world. Nothing is exactly perfect. So yes, we try to get things as close as possible. Yes, and I understand that. But I am a bit of a perfectionist personally. But that's, I just try to do the best job I can with what I've got. So there you go. So there's my little daisy chain all wired up. Alright, so there we go. Alright. Okay, so I've got my wires prepared. I've got my brown bus wire already sorted. So go from there to there to there to there to each of the 4 tracks. 1, 2, 3, 4 that I've got doing. Alright, so what I do is, with my little triangular rounded sort of file, I go on the outside of the track and I just give it a little bit of a file and I put my finger behind it. As you can see, I put my finger behind it to support the track, and I just give it a file, just a little bit, doesn't have to be a lot, just helps it for when you're soldering to join onto the piece of track that you're trying to solder. Now, as I said, it doesn't have to be flash fantastic or any of that sort of stuff. As long as it joins, that's the main thing. Got my soldering iron ready to go. I've got my red wire, which, as I said earlier, is going to be on the outside. Give it a touch of solder. Not really easy, but it will work. Touch of solder. Hope you can see this, because I'm trying to do this so that you can see. Bit of heat in the track. Alright, I'm heating the track, then I'm adding the solder to the heat. That's how we were taught here in Australia. Alright, heat the track, or heat the job. Once again, remember, heat the job. Heat it up a bit, then add your solder, and as you do it, you'll see when it's right, it'll just run straight into it. See, there you go, just run straight into it. So we get our red wire. Red wire's on the outside. I'm doing this a little bit ass up so that you guys can see, but red wire, and there you go. Quick as that, as simple as that. Alright, so and I'm trying to keep these wires together because I'm going to put them in a loom. Alright, so we've got my brown wire. Bring that around this side, you can see a bit better. Alright, so just soldering iron, heat the job a bit, which will remelt that solder again and touch it with the soldering iron, with the wire. Done. Simple as that. See? You just want to touch it up or anything, just touch it with the wire, with the soldering iron while it's still hot. So I'll put that down so I don't burn myself. Alright, so that's my 2 wires for that track. Then I go around and then I go to the next track. So I'm not having red all the way around. The next colour I chose was yellow. So I'll put some solder on the track once again, heat the track, put some solder on it, and you can see it melts it straight away into the join of the track and the soldering iron. Simple as that. Okay, I'll even do it left-handed, which I'm not very good at, but that'll help you. And I'm putting the solder on the outside of the track. Alright, because then the wheels won't matter when they touch it, but the wheels on the train are not going to come this close anyway. Well, they might, but I doubt it because I'm going to put buffers on it. Alright, so that's a nice solder joint there. Okay, so I've got the red. I don't get my wires all mixed up. Brown goes next. Alright, remember, heat the job, touch the wire. Simple as that. There you go. See, that's that. That's my brown bus wire. It's going to every piece of track. Alright, there's the red, and the back there. Then I'm going yellow. And there's no sequence. I'm just using what colour I want to use. Alright, so there's no sequence to it. I'm just using it because it's whatever colour. And as I said earlier, I'm using cable that I use here in Australia for wiring up your car trailer lights. So it's nice, good quality wire, simple to use, and it'll be definitely good enough for what we want in our trains. So once again, see, melt it, stick the solder, and done. Even left-handed. See, there you go. Just touch it a little bit to clean it up. Alright, I'll do the rest and we'll come back. Okay, now you can see I've got all my 4 coloured wires. Red, yellow, green, white. And I've got the brown. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to run that around like that. Join that one together. So what I might do is I might get a couple of cable ties and just join them together like that so they all stay together. But you get the idea now, so there, they all go together like a pig in a trough. Oh, sorry. Shouldn't say that, should I? No. Well, doesn't matter, but yeah. But you see what I'm saying. So they're all going there, they're all going along there. I'll bring them all around there. And they'll all go through a hole just here somewhere. Okay, so I've got myself a drill. I've measured the size roughly with enough for the different wires to go through. I think I'll put it there because, and the reason is I can only do it in certain places because this is just a piece of board on a table. So I don't have any boards underneath or beams or anything. So I've got to do it where the table's not. So, and that's why I'm not really fussed about this. It's just, as I keep saying, it's only a temporary layout, so I'm not really fussed. So I reckon about there. Yes, it is only chipboard. Twist them together. I think about there. I'll start twisting it. So take some pride in your work. It helps you, everything, all that sort of, you know, fuzzy feelings and all that sort of lovely stuff these days. Alright, so that's about enough, I think. Alright, there we go. All nice and neat, all laid in. See? Alright, there we go. Next, I'll show you the bottom piece, wiring underneath.